Yu Yu, an average young man, gets reincarnated after choking on some water. However, despite the cliché of being sent to another world as a stud with overpowered abilities, he is rather transformed into a tree. Yes, a tree, facing many challenges in his survival. For example, the lack of limbs. Yu decides to survive. Join him as he makes his way to becoming a tree god while making full use of his tree-lie abilities. The story begins in a mysterious forest, at the center of which resides a tree unlike ever seen before. All of a sudden, a voice comes out of the tree. The voice is revealed to be the tree itself. As the tree claims that it is about to choke and die, it then notices its surroundings and wonders where on earth it might be. Upon further investigation, it finally realizes that it has been transformed into a tree. Thinking that this all might be just a dream, the tree tries to fall back asleep again, hoping he will soon wake up from this nightmare. But his hopes don't come to fruition as he finds himself unable to sleep and to still be a tree. Suddenly, the voice inside the tree remembers that it choked on some water. Consequently, he theorizes that he has been transmigrated, cursing his fate to be reincarnated as a tree rather than a young man with a harem of beautiful girls. The tree wonders what it has done to deserve such a punishment. Suddenly, it realizes that trees do not have any sort of eyesight. However, for some weird reason he can see. It then tries to move its branches, finding that it is able to move only 1 out of the 50. Blaming his fate yet again, he sees an aeroplane up in the sky. This causes him to think that he might still be in the same era as when he was alive. Just then, 2 bees show up, buzzing all around him. Getting annoyed at their actions, it uses its only moving branches to kill them both in a single strike. Suddenly, he receives 0.2 evolution points just as a stats bar appears before him. Now being named Yu, he then uses his newly acquired points to strengthen his branches. Upon doing so, he becomes able to move another branch. Half a month has passed, and Yu is now able to manipulate all of his branches independently. Being much stronger than before, he tries to use his techniques on a boulder near him but fails to reach it. Nonetheless, even though his attack failed to make contact, he manages to shatter a piece of the boulder via the shockwave it produced. Now with the ambition of one day becoming the world tree of this planet, Yu continues to grow himself and his powers. Having no need to study, play, or even work, he spends all his time traveling his path to become a tree god. He also realizes that this world and his original world are different from each other as this one is filled with mutated air. He also happens upon a nest of baby peregrine falcons, which is calling Yu their home. Wondering if he can tame these beasts and get help in practicing for air battle, Yu takes it upon himself to hunt and feed the neglected nest. After killing and feeding a rabbit to the falcons, he then tries to strengthen his roots. But he finds that roots cost 1 point rather than 0.1 for branches to strengthen. Claiming that the roots must be more important, he decides in favor of it. Although, this causes him tremendous pain, as though he is being hit by an electric drill. His suffering pays off as he can now manipulate his root, just like his branches, which are considerably thicker and stronger. As such, he then tries to move with the use of his root but finds the experience to be even more painful. While claiming that he has to strengthen all his other roots to protect his trunk, his heart, and his lifeline, he suddenly hears some movement in the distance and prepares for battle. Yu finds that the movement was caused by a fox. Although injured, the beast is still barely alive. However, upon examination, he finds that the fox has been poisoned somehow. Hesitant to feed this poisoned meat to the falcons, Yu contemplates about what he should do when he learns that his sap has the ability to detoxify and heal. Deciding to test this revelation out, he helps out the fox. His sap seems to be majorly effective as the fox immediately gets back up, feeling better than ever. Furthermore, Yu then decides to kill the beast in order to get more points. Despite his malicious desires, he is forced to stop his attack when the fox quickly becomes affectionate towards him. As the fox rubs against him, he is clearly taken aback by its cuteness and decides to pet it. Suddenly, the fox starts to shine. Yu learns that this beast is now evolving thanks to consuming his branch's sap. Transforming to be bigger, the evolution surprises Yu but he gets more surprised when 2 girls show up. The girls set up a small altar at Yu's trunk, revealing that the father of these girls was buried under him. After a quick prayer, one of the girls drags the other to a nearby lake, preparing to take a shower, while our perverted tree friend tries to peek at them undressing. But his dreams are crushed as his view gets blocked by another tree. Trying to readjust his position, Yu tries to move around a bit but again experiences unimaginable pain. Cursing his inability to move, he decides to cease his foolishness. As the girls get done with their shower, they head back to their village and promise again to return soon. A week has already passed since the girls came to visit, and Yu has progressed significantly. He also feeds his sap to the peregrine falcons, increasing their growth process by a lot. Now having a red fox and a group of falcons at his side, he has now gotten closer to his goal of becoming a tree god. As some time passes, he also decides to take down a beast which has been targeting him for a long time, a golden eagle. With the help of his new pets, he manages to lure the eagle within his range and promptly defeats it. However, after gaining victory against this measly bird, Yu claims that he has to get stronger in order to survive. He claims that if he is to encounter a beast of the same level as him, due to his inability to move, he is sure to die. Furthermore, he theorizes that there is going to be at least one monster capable of defeating him in the vast canon where he resides. As such, he cannot act carelessly. Not only himself, but even his pets also need to get significantly stronger so they can keep surviving. Nonetheless, as they all worked hard in working together to defeat the eagle, Yu decides to give them a treat, some of his yummy sap. But their celebration is interrupted when they encounter yet another powerful monster, a war axe snake. This foe quickly destroys 26 of Yu's branches in a single blow. Upon checking the stat bar, he also learns that this snake was on the same level as him, a level 9. The red fox, now named Xiao, starts to act aggressively towards the snake, revealing this snake to be the one who poisoned him previously. Suddenly, their enemy launches a powerful attack. Yu orders everyone to hide behind him and then proceeds to block the attack. Using the points he gathered up, he quickly strengthens all of his roots and manages to barely block the attack. Not only that, but he also attacks the snake, but his attack fails to penetrate the tough skin of his foe. Thankfully, this attack makes the snake second-guess this fight and it quickly leaves. While Yu barely manages to survive, he blames his weak self for this incident. Suddenly, a message screen pops up asking, "Do you wish to evolve?" Never wanting to be in a situation similar to this ever again, Yu presses yes without hesitation. In just a few seconds, he then starts to evolve, growing bigger and stronger. Having all his roots and branches restored, he finds that even his pets have been affected by his evolution. As such, he decides to promptly send out his falcons to locate the war axe snake. As they speed off in the distance, Yu notices that the falcon's speed has risen. Moreover, he also notices a commotion, finding that the two girls from before are being chased by many monsters. From this, Yu learns that all monsters in the area are attracted to him because of his sap. However, this doesn't mean he will allow them to eat him. Red Fox and the falcons quickly defend the girls while Yu starts to clobber up all the monsters. Launching out strong attacks, he quickly deals with the beasts, but decides to keep a few stronger ones alive to nurture and train. Now, he turns his attention to the girls, who are knocked out cold due to the shock. Wondering about what he should do with them, he feels that killing them would only attract more attention. As such, he decides to use another method. As the girls wake up, Yu claims that he is the father of these sisters via writing. The girls don't believe this, reasonably so. As such, the younger girl tells Yu to reveal her greatest secret, something she only told her dad. Thanks to the stats bar, he is able to provide this information to her. Meanwhile, inside his mind, Yu claims that in the time since he has been reincarnated in this world, maybe their father's soul, who was buried underneath him, and his soul got fused together. Finally, the girls get convinced by his words. They also reveal that because of an unknown element in the air, known as spiritual energy, all living creatures have started to now evolve. But Yu has some more problems on his hands, more like his roots. He has to tame the monsters he decided to not kill. However, he decides to do something else first, opening his status window and beginning his new enhancement to become stronger. After sending Xiao Ling, the younger sister, and Xiao King, the older sister, down the mountain with Red Fox, he quickly gets to enhance himself. The next morning, Yu is now stronger than ever before. Moreover, he has acquired new effects and techniques. In addition, thanks to his roots growing deeper in the ground, they have reached an underground river filled with spiritual energy. Delighted at his fate, he finds that the falcons have returned from their search of the war axe snake, empty-handed. As he finally starts to discipline the beasts he captured the day before, his daughters return to visit. Seeing the beasts injured, the sister quickly treat their wounds, much to Yu's surprise. This experience makes him think that maybe it's alright to relax once in a while. However, in the background, a sinister yet shadowy figure of the war axe snake is seen, giving an evil grin. Half a month has passed since the sisters discovered Yu. They once again venture into the forest to visit their father. Red Fox, much like always, heads down to pick up the sisters and helps them reach Yu's location. As they ride on Red Fox's back, they suddenly get intervened by the War Axe Snake, who launches a powerful attack towards them. Meanwhile, Yu continues to hoard up points, killing all the beasts he lures and thanks to his pets. Finally, today he manages to gather up a huge amount and as such decides to enhance some of his roots to level 2. Despite it costing a whopping 100 points, he accepts this deal only to find his root has transformed significantly. He tests out his attack, claiming the after effects look like a scenery from hell. While doing so, he wonders why it is taking Red Fox so much time in such a short journey. On the other hand, the War Axe Snake is seen dripping with blood. Worried about the girls and Red Fox, Yu sends out the falcons to locate them. Just then, Red Fox, in a near-death state, fumbles towards Yu. He quickly heals it using his sap, questioning why he is alone and where the girls are. Suddenly, in the distance, he sees the snake, smirking and playing with Xiao Ling's dead-like body. Overcome with rage, Yu uses his strongest root to attack the snake, managing to snatch away Ling's body before the snake devours it. Understanding his little chance of victory, the War Axe Snake quickly retreats. Meanwhile, Yu forcibly gives Ling her sap and life essence, but she shows no signs of progress. Despite using all his points, Ling still doesn't wake up. Moreover, Xiao King is nowhere to be seen. As such, Yu then sends her down the mountain to her villager, where the villagers treat her but to no avail. After hearing of her condition from his falcons, Yu, along with all his pets and monsters, furiously prepare to take his revenge on the snake. All of Yu's pets gang up on the War Axe Snake. Despite their obvious difference in strength, they all continue to attack the snake. Injured and bruised, still they all push forward while thinking of nothing but revenge. Nonetheless, the snake is still too powerful. Suddenly, Red Fox confronts the snake. Resolving himself to finally tear apart this snake, Red Fox rushes into attack, caring not for his own life. Snake also realizes the rage within Red Fox, deciding to kill him no matter what. They both start to clash, attacking each other repeatedly. As they both start to receive damage, the falcons also show up. They all, along with Red Fox, attack the snake furiously, demanding he returns the sisters' lives. The falcon uses a self-sacrificing attack called Bullet Dive, in which they reach speeds higher than their body can handle to attack their foe. As strong sadness flows through the air, the pets remember their reason for this fight and rush to attack. Using their combined strength and the sacrifices and efforts of their peers, they manage to push back the axe snake, slowly but surely. Nonetheless, the snake still continues to fight back with all his might, not wanting to die. However, all of this is calculated in Yu's plan, as he reveals that he has used his pets to lure the axe snake within his reach. Upon noticing Yu, the snake immediately tries to flee, realizing he is no match for him. In spite of this, Yu easily captures his foe, giving it a hard blow. Henceforth, Yu proceeds to smash the snake on the ground, finally killing it once and for all. As the survivor amongst his beasts gathers up to witness the demise of their foe, Yu continues to senselessly beat the lifeless snake, proclaiming he has no right to rest. While crying their eyes out, he and all his beasts mourn the loss of Xiao Ling and Xiao King. Yu claims in this world of the strong devouring the weak, the sisters' life will nourish new ones and make them all stronger. But this sadness within them all is not unreasonable. Soon after the battle ends, Yu thanks all the beasts for helping him take revenge. He also offers his sap to all of them as a parting gift. He announces that everyone present can leave if they wish to do so. Among the beasts, which involves a cow, monkey, crane, and a pack of tempest wolves, drink the sap and they immediately level up. As Yu expresses his happiness at their growth, he claims he is excited to see their progress in the future. Surprisingly, none of the beasts decides to leave, deciding to stay with him instead. Delighted to no end, Yu promises to help them get stronger and make sure they don't die. Soon after, he then assigns a task to all the beasts, forming a strong foundation. Everything is back to normal, until one day, when a shining orb of light appears in front of Yu, containing a humanoid figure. This glowing orb is revealed to the mutated soul of Xiao King. Yu also learns that his branches have a special ability to nurture souls. As such, he decides to do so with Xiao King. He surrounds the soul with his branches, as a gentle voice asks who she is. He tells her that she is Xiao King, a person important to him. Suddenly, she starts to get a headache, stating that a stream of sadness is entering her mind. In addition, she claims that this is a great exhaustion on her body. This statement makes Yu wonder about the possibilities. As such, he comes up with an insane idea. He proceeds to ask Xiao King's soul whether she can live inside Xiao Ling's body, as Ling herself. In this world, humans have now formed an organization to deal with and study spiritual energy and these mutated monsters. Furthermore, humans who have a special ability to manipulate spiritual energy have also appeared. These humans, upon awakening, are given the title of special beings. A similar human named Yan Gao Yuan, along with the chief of this organization, Chen Yang, make their way to Yu after learning of a strong presence there. Meanwhile, Yu decides to set up a smokescreen of fog and illusions to keep out other humans. However, he soon feels the presence of Yan Gao and his companions enter the fog. Back to Yan Gao and his group, who have Yu's fog but are unable to continue because of it. Chen Yang orders some people to watch their vehicles while others enter the fog and visit the village. Along with them, they take special ammunition which has been created solely for these mutated beasts. Yu, in the meantime, has convinced King of his plan and she tries to fuse with Ling's body. Just then, she sees the image of Yan Gao, who has entered the village and claims that Ling can be revived. While King tries her best to fuse with Ling's body on her end, remotely, Yan Gao also pulls out a mysterious red potion. Claiming that Ling has a special ability which is needed in these disastrous times, he feeds this potion to her. As this potion enters Ling's body, King feels an immense rush of power and she finally manages to take over the body. This causes Ling to immediately wake up, much to everyone in the village's surprise. Yu orders King to retrieve information on the humans who have entered the village. Later that night, the villagers throw a party to celebrate Ling's recovery. During the party, Ling makes contact with Yan Gao and asks him their reason for coming here. He reveals that mutated beasts were spotted here via a satellite and they are here to do some research. Luckily, Yan Gao and his team haven't yet learned about Yu's presence. The next day, the group leaves heads out. Before their departure, Yan Gao asks Ling's grandfather to let her accompany them, claiming he will see to it that she is looked after. Her grandfather agrees, having no other choice. The group then decides to pick up Ling on their return and makes their way into the forest. However, they are
Yu, a young man who died from choking on water, gets reincarnated as a tree. Despite being unable to move around, he makes the best use of his situation. Using his cheat abilities, he continues to make himself stronger. He also manages to tame a few monsters, using which he only gets even more powerful. Nonetheless, trouble still sniffs him out, as he gets targeted by a giant mutated snake, who takes the life of his human daughters. Yu vows to never let such a situation happen ever again, promising to enhance himself until no one is a match for him. He soon again faces another problem. The Special Organization, an institute created to study spiritual power, sent its men to investigate Yu's territory. Join him on his journey as he overcomes these obstacles and makes his way to becoming a tree god. Moreover, more and more monsters keep appearing, now significantly overpowering the men. Yu, claiming he had given them a prior warning already, then orders his pets to kill the men. As the team faces a certain demise, Yan Gao, despite his gaping wounds, gets back up to fight and resolves himself to get his battalion out of this situation. Thanks to his valiant effort and bravery, Yan Gao manages to keep true to his word and escape the forest, along with his troops. Nonetheless, this incident caused the battalion to lose 6 of its men. As they tuck their tails between their legs and run away, Yan Gao thinks to himself that the honey badger, having received 2 pricing shots, will most probably not survive their confrontation. Meanwhile, Yu feels relieved after getting rid of the pests who ventured into his territory, wishing they decide to not return for a while. Claiming he wanted to kill every single one of them where they stand, he decides against this in order to not attract more attention. In addition, he also claims that their investigation will be put on hold because of this incident. However, when they eventually return here again, they will take their last breaths. As such, he also vows to himself to evolve to a point where no human will be a match for him. On the other hand, Xiao King is still controlling Xiao Ling's body, revealing to have left with the other team. Xiao King asks Yu if she will have to live in this body from now on. He replies in an affirmative, delighted that this may prove to be a wonderful opportunity to break into the human race and gather as much info as possible. As Xiao Ling travels with the young men of the team, they get bewitched by her beauty and fall head over heels for her. Suddenly, as Xiao King reaches her limit, Ling goes back to sleep, prompting the men to name her Sleeping Beauty. Xiao King, in the meantime, is thoroughly exhausted after controlling Ling's body for over 15 hours straight. To help her recover faster, Yu gives her some of his life essences, hoping it will also increase her control time. As Xiao King gladly partakes, the rest of Yu's injured pests also show up. Honeybanger looks to be on the verge of dying, and as such Yu claims that giving the badger his sap will only worsen his condition. Therefore, using his roots and branches, he locates a water source and creates a small lake in front of him. Using this lake's water, he then adds his life essence to it. As such, the pets get to have a relaxing break playing in the water while healing in the process. As some time passes by after the whole forest ordeal, back at the Special Organization Research Institution, Yan Gao gives the report to his superior. His superior, an old and long-bearded man, claims that Yan Gao and his group encountered a tough foe this time. Yan Gao claims that the change in the mountainside is certain, adding there is numerous powerful mutated beasts there. He also tells him about the presence of the thick fog there, revealing that, in his opinion, the mist has the ability to affect the human mind and spirit. Nonetheless, there is still no explanation for this phenomenon yet, ordering Yan Gao to put the forest in the yellow warning area, as the fog isn't very dangerous. He also tells him to keep an eye out for any abnormalities in the area. Moreover, if any do occur, he is to immediately put the zone into the red hazard area. Yan Gao accepts this task and heads to leave when his superior asks him about the girl he brought back, Xiao Ling. Yan Gao excitedly replies that Ling has a fire elemental talent and reveals that she might be the strongest amongst her generation. Being out in the yellow area, Yu Jiayu is considered lucky as, even though the nation has surveillance over it, this area is still dispensable. Back in the forest, Red Fox and Honey Badger are having a spar while the rest watch them fight. However, Red Fox is stronger and ends up winning. Yu Jiayu is also feeling relieved after no one else was sent over. Thinking it would be better if they never returned, he gets approached by the Tempest Wolf Pack. They have brought live animals for Yu Jiayu to kill so he can gain points. Glad to have tamed all these beasts, Yu Jiayu is overjoyed at the advantages they give him. As such, while the monsters eat the dead animals, he checks out he can upgrade currently. Having 172 evolution points saved up, Yu Jiayu decides to strengthen half of his branches even more. As he does so, he finds that in addition to getting stronger, he has also gained new abilities such as paralysis and stun. Unable to wait, he decides to test out his new powers and hits the Honey Badger with the attack. However, the badger quickly gets back up again, calling this ability a scam and demanding his points back. He gets angry when King reveals that honey badgers are born with anti-toxic properties. Surprised at her arrival, he questions her why she is here. King reveals that it is extremely boring at the special organization, as they don't allow her to do much of anything. Furthermore, according to Yan Gao, she has to pass a test in order to enter the Spiritual Power Research Institute. In addition, she claims that if she fails, she will have to go back, leaving Yu Jiayu concerned. In order to motivate her, he decides to bribe her with some life essence, and she gets fired up. In a serious expression, King also vows to not fail, stating she will do whatever is necessary if someone is to get in her way. As the fated day of the test arrives, Yan Gao accompanies Xiao Ling to her test area. On their way, he also explains that the two reasons for the creation of the institution are to study spiritual power and cultivate super beings. As they reach the hall, a lot of other people are also present to take the test. Soon after, Yan Gao's superior, revealed to be the director of the special organization, addresses the crowd. He announces that the world is changing drastically, and as such, in order to keep humankind alive, they will have to adapt and evolve as per the situation. If not, their kind will be in jeopardy, adding that this place was created solely for this reason. He pumps up the recruits, telling them to open up a new era. And so, the testing finally begins with a power test being the first. As students check tier power level, the results seem to be somewhat lacking in comparison with the first generation. Suddenly, one girl named Yan Lingling steps forth as per her turn. As she tests her power level, she leaves the examiner shocked, revealing her level to be 2000, a high class and terrifying level. Her capabilities, and adjacent to her spectacular looks, quickly makes her the talk of the school, as others praise her profusely. At last, it's finally Xiao Ling's turn. As she heads towards the area, both Yan Gao and the director watch her intensely. As she starts with the test, her strength immediately becomes evident. Reaching a level of 5000, her strength is unlike anything he's ever seen before. This makes even the director speechless while the crowd goes apeshit. However, this is not the end as the number continues to go higher, eventually stopping at around 6000. Ling also managed to destroy the testing machine in the process, leaving Lingling bewildered at what she just witnessed. Despite this, the examiner continues with the process. The second round is revealed to be the aptitude test. Moreover, the students are segregated into high and low classes and then sent to the test site via portals. As Ling and Lingling are both high class, they now have to act as a team. Upon entering the portal, they find themselves faced with Yan Gao, who claims that the test is managing to lay even a single hand on him. By doing this, they will gain victory. Meanwhile, back in the forest, Yu enjoys his tranquil time in nature. However, he suddenly smells something funky. Upon looking at his surroundings, he learns that Honey Badger has just pooped right next to him. As he beats him up, Yan Gao easily defeats all the students. As he mocks them for being weak, he claims that they will all be eliminated if they keep up this embarrassing effort. Ling Ling and Xiao Ling, being the only two left standing, continue to face Yan Gao despite being exhausted and fatigued. With only 10 minutes left remaining until the test ends, he tells them to work hard only that might be able to keep them from being eliminated. Ling Ling is already at her limit and is unable to do much. On the other hand, Ling, after hearing that she could be sent home, refuses to be eliminated and suddenly powers up immensely. Using her fire elemental talent, she rushes into her unshaken and confident enemy. Surprised to see her using flames to speed up her attack, Yan Gao wonders how much she can control her fire. As he tries to mock her in order to infuriate her, Ling again speeds up significantly, managing to pull off advanced techniques. As such, she again rushes into her foe, who barely manages to avoid the onslaught of blows. Just as she finally finds an opening, Ling Ling interferes with her attack. She kicks Ling in the face, sending her flying. Ling Ling, barely in time, manages to make contact with Yan Gao and advances into the next round. Yan Gao, on the other hand, rushes to check up on Ling, who is bleeding heavily. Suddenly, Ling Ling starts to ridicule Ling, claiming she is no match for her and she should just return to the mountains where she came from. Ling, remembering her vow to not let anything interfere with her plan, decides to deal with the one who interfered in her battle. As such, she quickly rushes to Ling, grabbing her by the face and mashing her head into the ground. Unable to respond or defend, Ling Ling receives heavy damage. She tells Ling to stop, claiming the examination is already over. She also asks if she wants to kill her, to which Ling replies yes. Just as she hits Ling Ling with a powerful attack, with intense bloodlust, her attack gets stopped by Yan Gao in the nick of time. He also calms Ling down, telling her that she has passed the test. Upon hearing this, Ling quickly turns back to normal, while Ling Ling is left paralyzed by fear and knocked unconscious on the ground. As Yan Gao thinks he might have bitten off more than he can chew, the director is overjoyed at Ling's abilities and wants the school to dedicate their time to properly cultivating her. Soon after passing, King, who is controlling Ling remotely, tells her result to Yu, making him delighted upon hearing the news. She reveals that in her school, she is now considered a genius who managed to reach the 8th class at a very young age. Furthermore, Yu reveals that the villagers have all also moved towards the cities, deserting their homes in the mountains for the future's sake. Time flies by, and now winter has already arrived. Despite the weather, he continues to evolve further, evolving his breaks one at a time. As he claims that the crisis will not stop in spite of it being winter, he states that the smell of death and blood will soon engulf the air. Meanwhile, a shadowy figure of a powerful beast can be seen in Yu's forest. On the other hand, in the Northwest Territories, the special organizations have finally reached a cave. Revealing this cave required many sacrifices to reach, they are still happy that they have managed to discover the pit of spiritual stones. Suddenly, the troops hear an unsettling and unpleasant growl. As they turn back to take a look around, they find a sliver centipede, a strong mutated monster. The centipede then proceeds to attack the troops, as they all run around helplessly trying to defend themselves. On the flip side, Yu has finished enhancing his branches. Happy that he is about to reach rank 2. He claims he only has to evolve 8 of his roots to achieve this. In addition, he states that when he does become rank 2, nothing, except for maybe nuclear weapons, will be able to defeat him. However, he also theorizes that after attaining the rank, humans will discover their existence because of the fluctuations caused by evolution. As he genuinely fears humans for the first time as a non-human, Xiao King interprets his thoughts while claiming a huge problem has occurred. Back at the Special Research Institution, Yan Gao learns that every single member of the Northwest Squad has been exterminated as the spiritual power leaked out of the stones and attracted many mutated beasts to them. Revealing that there were only a huge amount of mutated mice and birds at first, they announced that a sliver centipede, with a spiritual level of over 120,000 has appeared there. Therefore, in order to deal with such a formidable enemy, extraordinary forces are sent out. Nonetheless, even for them, this fight is not going to be easy. Meanwhile, Yu learns that humans have recently discovered a spiritual ore stone and a natural mine along with it. The spiritual stone is revealed to be a stone with a lot of energy inside it which can aid in upgrading body strength at high speeds. Upon its discovery, all the institutes fell into dispute over it, as King claims that this discovery will enable humans to keep up with the evolution of the beasts. Yu Jiayu is visibly enraged, claiming his plan to evolve further than any human might be able to have failed. He curses humans and their adaptability. Furthermore, King also informs him of the appearance of the Sliver Centipede, a rank 2. He adds that the soldier deployed there for protection have all been slaughtered, along with about half of the extraordinary team. This statement leaves Yu Jiayu perplexed, as he wonders how that centipede manages to reach a high rank while still being Loki. He inquires if the humans have deployed a team to fight back against this monster, however, leans that since the organization prepared for something like this, they still haven't. He also asks her if he might be able to beat it, but learns while the centipede has a level of 120,000, he has a level of only 16,000. Soon, Ling returns after her report to H institution. Once there, she asks to visit the Northwest in order to see the centipede, but her request gets refused. Meanwhile, Yu Jiayu is still gathering up points to evolve. Upon hoarding the required amount, he enhances all his roots at once, experiencing immense pain. Despite this, he continues while on the other side. Honey Badger is seen injured and bleeding. The Honey Badger is revealed to be out on a normal hunting trip. As he catches some food and prepares to eat, he runs into a group of poor and hungry otters. He shares his prey with them, despite making a god-awful face, and they quickly become pals. As it decides to head back after finishing its meal and receives a nut as a token of gratitude, it suddenly gets attacked by a large beast. This dinosaur-like monster makes Honey Badger lose his mind, and in an attempt to get the first hit in, he rushes to attack the beast. However, he gets easily defeated and receives heavy damage. The Tempest Wolves eventually find Honey Badger's injured and bleeding body. They decide to bring it to Yu Jiayu, who claims that he's lucky to have managed to survive this confrontation as the foe was much stronger than him. Nonetheless, Yu Jiayu proceeds to feed the badger his sap and puts him in the Lake of Healing. On the other hand, he sends out the pack of Tempest Wolves and Red Fox to locate the beast which injured his beloved pet, while making a terrifying expression, claiming that this monster has managed to keep hidden. Despite the thick mist, it should not be a pushover. As such, he cannot let it continue living here, classifying this beast to be a major threat. Suddenly, King also chimes in and wants to fight this foe. Yu Jiayu, again, is surprised to see her arrive so quickly. She tells him that she has found Lynx, something which might be able to suppress his presence. Nonetheless, she classes him it will be difficult to retrieve this Lynxi. He tells her to take it easy, telling her not to rush. Suddenly, an epiphany strikes him as he remembers something important. He remembers the underground river filled with spiritual energy, which he previously detected via his roots. He theorizes that this energy might be from a mine of spiritual stone, where they might be able to recover some Lingjai. This also makes him think that their current foe must also possess some. As such, he orders his pets to only locate this monster and not confront it, calming they will die if they choose to do so. Moreover, he dived the pets into 3 groups. Red Fox and the Wolves are tasked to check out the scene. Crane and the Falcons are ordered to check the sky, and King is tasked to find the monster underground, near the mine, reminding them all to avoid confrontation. He orders them to leave and they all get to their tasks. As finds the river and continues upstream, she finds that the situation is just like Yu Jiayu's prediction. The river is covered with spiritual stones. Happy she managed to locate this so easily, she then suddenly hears a roar. Emanating from this roar is a powerful energy, something QNNG claims to be at a level higher than Yu Jiayu. Upon further investigation, she finds that the monster in question is an Earthstone elephant turtle. She claims that it is fortunate that they managed to find this monster so earlier, as if it was given more time, it would have further evolved into something unimaginable. Upon closer inspection of the surroundings, she finds a blood grass, a companion of the spiritual stone and the most important treasure in order to advance. Feeling that these gerbs will prove to be quite beneficial for her master, she decides to take some back with her. Suddenly, just as she is picking the herb, she gets attacked by the elephant turtle. King is perplexed and questions how on earth this beast can see her, claiming it might be because it has already ranked up. Nonetheless, she tries to defend herself against this powerful opponent and launches an attack. However, the beast also responds in kind, and his attack's shockwave notifies the rest of the pets. Meanwhile, Yu Jiayu, thanks to his roots, has learned that King has encountered and enraged the beast. As he checks up on the badger's condition, he finds him to be gone. Badger is revealed to have traveled all the way down in order to take his revenge on the one who trampled over him. As such, he faces the elephant turtle, and so an eoic bat ensues. Honey badgers repeatedly attack his opponent haphazardly, caring not for himself. Despite receiving major damage, he continues to get back up. Pyong claims that it will die at this rate, but Badger, never wanting to be helpless ever, spiritual energy, an unknown substance, suddenly starts to make all the animals evolve and strengthen. Enter Yu Jai Yu, an ordinary young man who gets reincarnated as a tree after choking on water. Soon after being reborn, he understands his predicament and resolves to survive in this messed world. After taming many monsters as pets and helping nourish them, he faces many dangers on his way to survival. After defeating and intercepting the human world, he overcomes all the obstacles coming his way in order to realize his dream and become a tree god. Join him and his pets on the journey to becoming the strongest in the world. Suddenly, a change starts to happen in Honey Badger's body. His hair starts to change color, indicating that he has mutated. And so, the bloody battle starts back up again. The Honey Badger launches attacks, one after the other. However, his opponent is taking them all head-on, still refusing to go down. Suddenly, the Honey Badger unleashes a strong attack, knocking his opponent to the ground using electric shock. Xiao King, who is overseeing the fight from the sidelines, gets delighted to see this feat and starts to announce that Honey Badger has won. But her statement is seen to be not true, as the giant turtle's shadowy figure rises back up again in a brief moment. He strikes Honey Badger repeatedly, making him vomit up blood. Exhausted and ashamed about not being able to take his revenge, Honey Badger prepares to use his life to defend his dignity. As they both exchange the final blows of their match, the giant turtle gets sent flying back, revealing one of Yu Jai Yu's roots has arrived just in time to save Honey Badger. Overwhelmed with rage after seeing the state of his pet, Yu Jai Yu prepares to fight against this beast. He orders King to pass his consciousness to his root, allowing him to see from the root's point of view. As such, the epic fight is now starting. He quickly checks his opponent's stats bar. As he glances over it, he also sees Honey Badger and compliments him, praising his determination and refusal to admit defeat. He tells him to rest and leave everything else up to him. After tossing Honey Badger aside and putting him in the care of Red Fox, he then powers up and prepares to attack. Using the technique of his previous foe, War Axe Snake, he launches a powerful attack, dealing so much damage that the giant turtle is sent flying to the surface and ends up dying. The Honey Badger hurries to the surface as well in order to witness the demise of his greatest enemy. Winning the battle in just a single strike, Yu Jai Yu quickly cools down and his mood gets better. Furthermore, he also remembers his main objective for coming to the spiritual mines in the first place. He orders each and every one of his pets to start collecting all the spiritual stones they can find. As his pets dig up the stone and bring them to Yu Jai Yu, Red Fox and the pack of Tempest Wolves, amounting to 4, have the highest speeds and as such is tasked to drag the bundles of stone to him. After digging up a huge chunk of the cave, in just a measly half day, they all manage to acquire a huge amount of spiritual stones. After they all are gathered, Yu Jai Yu claims these numbers must be greater than the huge pile of sliver centipedes. Moreover, now the time has arrived for him to finally evolve and attain a higher rank. He takes a bunch of stones and absorbs them. As he wonders what he will transform into, he begins to shine and glow. Not long after, Yu Jai Yu has now evolved. His appearance has changed a lot as his body has changed color and his eyes have become fiercer. Despite now looking like a tree demon king, he claims that appearances do not matter and proceeds to check his status window, only after having a power trip after killing a few birds. As he does so, he sees how powerful he has become. In addition to having all his roots and branches evolved to level 2, he also has many more skills up his sleeve. Moreover, after his battle with the giant turtle, Yu Jai Yu has absorbed his skill and has gained the technique of sand control. As his eyes pop out after seeing this, he becomes eager to test out the power of this technique. Just like an earthbender, he makes the ground rises up and obey his command, resulting in a cool yet fearsome attack. However, he quickly finds a flaw in this skill, claiming that the range of this attack is only a few hundred meters. Realizing he will power up as he levels up, he wonders if he can move around after a while using his sand control to manipulate the ground. Soon, he wonders if he might have enough points to upgrade his life force talent, as he didn't have enough the last time. Xiao King, who is analyzing Yu Jai Yu's power from the sidelines, claims that his spiritual energy level must be over 300,000. as she claims that even the sliver centipede will no longer be a match for her master. Meanwhile, Falcon, Crane, and Wild Cow return back from their search, and Yu Jai-yu tells them the situation is already dealt with. Suddenly, a flower mysteriously sprouts on his body, revealing that his life force has been upgraded. As an experiment, he feeds this flower to Wild Cow, who immediately evolves into a level 9 and transforms into a more badass version of himself. As Yu Jai-yu becomes delighted at his amazing abilities and powers, the Wild Cow suddenly starts to speak. In a slow, grumbly, and terrifying voice, he starts calling his master god Tree. Overjoyed after learning that monster awaken their consciousness after level 9, he wonders how strong Red Fox will become after he is level 9. Claiming he will become stronger after nurturing them even after his pets awaken their consciousness, he decides to first expand his spiritual mind cave and gather more stones. On the other hand, soon after this ordeal, Xiao King returns to Ling's body. Back at the academy, she is seen to be working hard and has now become overpowered. Her body and mentality have perfectly fused, and both Ling's and King's powers are combined. One day, her instructors calls her, revealing to her a whole new life form. The genes of wolf and humans mixed together, a werewolf-like creature. The instructor reveals to her that he created this fusion of DNA after countless failed experiments. In addition, he reveals that all his experimented humans came willing fully in order to help humanity survive these harsh circumstances, claiming sacrifice is necessary in order for humans to stay on top of the food chain. He expresses how his experiments are still not complete, as he states that he requires a being with immense healing and regenerative abilities. Xiao Ling realizes that the monster her instructor wanted fits the description of Yu Jai-yu perfectly. Realizing this, she makes a contorted face as her instructor continues to claim that humans cannot and will not lose in this era of spiritual energy. Meanwhile, back in the forest, a group of humans, consisting of both normal humans and super beings, get tasked to retrieve some herbs and such from the mountains. They accept, knowing not what might reside in the forest. As they enter and start looking around, they soon encounter a mutated white tiger. Its appearance leaves everyone paralyzed with fear. The men try their best to fight this beast, however, they quickly start dropping like flies. With only 2 people remaining, a super being girl named Kyan King gets told to run away and escape, as at least one person should survive and relay the events which occurred. However, she doesn't get a chance to do so as the white tiger quickly mauls everyone, leaving Kyan King to fend for herself. Facing certain death, she wonders if she will really face the outcome everyone else faced. As all these thoughts rush through her head, suddenly, Yu Jai-yu's roots intervene and end up rescuing Kyan King. Being overpowered as heck, the root easily manages to injure and capture the white tiger. As Kyan King lies on the ground, almost losing consciousness, she wonders what the thing that saved her was. Yu Jai-yu then transports all the group members still alive, along with the white tiger, to his location. There, the white tiger, despite acting all fearsome and arrogant just a few moments earlier, is now acting timid and shy after being surrounded by his pets. Yu Jai-yu reveals he has gotten a new skill after upgrading his life essence, revealing his sap can now turn monsters and beasts affectionate towards him and increase intimacy. As such, he decides to test this out on the white tiger, who immediately drops his demeanor and starts licking Yu Jai-yu's trunk. Amazed at the instant results, he wonders what will happen if he feeds the sap to the girl he rescued. As he approaches to feed her, she wakes up. Thinking that Yu Jai-yu is going to molest her with tentacle play, she starts to scream, but his intentions are not similar to her expectations. After feeding her the sap, he asks her to stay with him and train his pets. At first, Kyan King refuses to stay with a tree demon, however, as the sap takes effect, she immediately agrees. He then asks what her awakened talent is, as she states it's female intuition. He laughs at this ability and decides to see how far the sap's effect spread. As such, he orders Kyan King to praise him, which she does. Deciding to push his luck, he then tells her to strip. Hearing this, Kyan King quickly becomes embraced and blushingly refuses, claiming she doesn't want. Disheartened by her refusal, Yu Jai-yu then proceeds to feed his sap to the other 2 humans he saved, revealing he wants them to teach Red Fox and Wild Cow about human knowledge. He tells he wanted to rely on Xiao King, but she is quite busy. And so, these mere humans are now tasked with nurturing and teaching Yu Jai-yu's esteemed pets. Using his branches, he creates lodging for his newly acquired slaves, which is okay because they consent to stay, despite them being coerced under the influence. Now being able to move freely, it is time for Yu Jai-yu to finally ascend as a god. However, due to the current circumstance of the world, he claims anything can happen, and as a result, He needs to be prepared for all situations. Consequently, after putting the humans in their rooms, he begins to check his status window once again. After defeating the giant turtle, he managed to gather 13,432 evolution points. Therefore, he proceeds to level up sand control, learning that since he is now transcended to rank 2, all of the enhancements and strengthening will require a lot more points. After crying about how expensive everything is now, he accepts the transaction, leveling up sand control to level 2. Deciding to test it out, he again uses the technique, noticing that the destructive power has now increased drastically. However, the range is still limited to 100 meters. As such, he levels the skill even more, now becoming able to make hills with his branches and cause huge-scale earthquakes with ease. In spite of the sheer awesomeness of this skill, Yu Jia claims that he could end up putting a strain on the main body, so he should first try and get this ability under complete control in order to get the entire territory under his command. Meanwhile, on another continent, a huge tsunami hits a bustling city, causing havoc. Furthermore, inside the tsunami, there are multiple mutated beasts present. In addition, 2 transcended beasts are also seen. 5 hours after this appearance, in yet another country along the shoreline, the political assembly is up in arms. It is revealed that they too have been hit by these sea beasts. Aaron, an assistant of the Prime Minister, reveals that this beast, a gold-patterned eel, is a rank 3 and its estimated power level is about 250,000. Nonetheless, they have managed to drive it away after 3 nuclear attacks. Despite their efforts, there is no confirmation if the beast is still alive, and the oceans of this world have now become more dangerous than ever before. On the other hand, back at the territory of our friendly tree demon, the humans Yu Jia got his hands on and captured are now working according to his wishes and are slowly getting more and more adjusted to the surrounding. Kyan King is tasked with teaching knowledge to the beasts, while Tong and Feng, both super beings as well, are tasked to be a trainer and chefs respectively. 3 days have passed since they found themselves here. In order to avoid getting killed at the hands of Yu Jia, they decide to keep on doing the tasks assigned to them. As they have lunch, they also discuss how they never thought that a tree with wisdom would be present in this world. They also claim that if the military knew of Yu Jia's presence, they would use all their might to try and eliminate him. Meanwhile, Xiao King has come back after her training to visit Yu Jia. There, she inquires as to why he kept these humans around. He replies that their knowledge is very important to him. She also reveals to him the recent appearance of the rank 3 eel. She adds that the eel got attacked by 3 nuclear weapons, however only one connected while the rest were bounced off. Yu Jia is perplexed and wishes to learn more. As such, King claims that the beast used sound pressure to manipulate and change the missile's trajectory, making them bounce off. Furthermore, even after getting hit by one weapon, the eel managed to return back to the deep sea. Witnessing the scary side of humans and how far they are willing to go in order to protect their kind, he realizes unlike the eel he has no place to escape. Consequently, he decides to find even stronger companions to aid him in future endeavors. In addition, he also wants to build an underground empire, and so he gets to work, capturing and taming a wild boar. Moreover, he helps evolve an alligator into an ancient emperor alligator and tames it. Having extreme strength, this ancient emperor alligator wishes to decide the ranking between him and Red Fox, provoking it to a fight. As a result, a ferocious battle ensues. Red Fox, level 9, an ancient emperor alligator revealed to be on the same level as Red Fox, face each other and start attacking, wasting no time hesitating. As all the other pets, including the humans, watch this battle from the sidelines, they predict and anticipate the outcome. The alligator uses an air blade, a technique which launches a sharp burst of winds to attack. However, Red Fox is unfazed and dodges them all, trying to close the distance between him and his foe. But he gets a little too close, allowing his opponent to bite down on his foot and stop his movements. Furthermore, he then gets flying after a body slam, as Tong protects the other humans. Not letting this opportunity slip by, Ancient Emperor Alligator rushes in yet again, opening his big mouth to bite Red Fox and shred his body. Nonetheless, Red Fox is also not going down without a fight and uses fire breathing to evade. After their fierce clash, both of the fighters acknowledge each other's strength and smirk at each as the battle is stopped. Witnessing this battle makes Tong realize something crucial, and he gets lost in thought. The next day, while hunting along with Red Fox, he decides to have a talk with Yu Jia. As Tong approaches him, he reveals the reason behind his visit. He claims he wants to receive Yu Jia's nourishment, his divine sap. stating that this world is the survival of the fittest. He is just a weakling with no other talents and abilities, and so he hopes that the tree god can help him become stronger. However, his request is immediately turned down as Yu Jai-yu, while making an angry and terrifying face, claims he will not trust someone who has betrayed their own kind. In addition, he orders Tong to go back to his duties, and after apologizing for wasting time, he immediately leaves. After he leaves, Xiao King wonders why her master denied the request for his sap. As such, he explains that he is kind enough to let him live in these pristine environments. He reveals that just by living here, the humans have stocked up on good and pure spiritual energy, which has resulted in them becoming significantly stronger and has increased their level by a lot. Xiao King claims that this is good news, as these humans will prove to be handy to them in the upcoming days. Yu Jai-yu also adds that humans are selfish beings and they regularly betray each other for one's own benefit, and in order to be clear of any chance of betrayal, he needs to observe his slaves some more. As their conversation comes to an end, he states that the forest has now entered the smooth phase and that the only thing they really need to worry about is staying low-key and hidden in order to not attract any unwanted attention. Xiao King also reveals that the sliver centipede has been captured by the humans and they are now using this beast for an experiment. She also claims she is thinking about absorbing the centipede's soul, which will allow her to ascend to rank 1. Yu Jai-yu warns her, telling her that these situations are not child's play and that there is a good chance that her soul is the one which gets absorbed instead. Nonetheless, King is confident in her abilities and makes this clear, and so he agrees to her plan, thinking to himself how much progress King has made after staying with humans, so much so that she is now able to consider problems and their solutions on her own. Suddenly, they hear a commotion nearby. Upon investigation, the commotion is caused by fighting between the ancient emperor alligator and honey badger, who has high pride and claims to be the strongest even when he's not. Yu Jai-yu realizes that his pets are now getting stronger and are at rank 1 second peak. As such, he decides to call them all out. As the pets gather, he reveals that he is going to allow a few pets to leave so they can train on their own. Choosing Red Fox, Wild Cow, and Ancient Emperor Alligator to leave, he decides to not include White Tiger because he is too stupid. Red Fox is proclaimed the boss of the strongest beast, named Nine Tails, from now forth. The second, third, and fourth ranks belong to Wild Cow, now named Demon Cow, White Tiger, and Ancient Emperor Alligator, placed in fourth because of his recent entrances. He tells them that they will obey him as the great 9 demon beasts, and tells them to roam freely, except for in human cities. On the other hand, King, in Ling's body, approaches the sliver centipede. Despite having his head detached from its body, the beast is revealed to be still alive. She tells the monster that instead of suffering his entire life, he should become Ling's new source of power. After getting reincarnated into a tree, Yu Jai-yu faced many obstacles on his way to survival. Nonetheless, he was able to overcome all of them. After taming and gathering many strong beasts, he has formed an elite group of warrior pets for himself. However, even their combined power is not enough, as there are still many out there who are stronger. Join him on his adventures as he gathers more allies in order to become stronger and finally attain his dream, to become a tree god. Back in the forest, the strongest of Yu Jai-yu's pets have left. Red Fox has traveled to a nearby mountain, while Ancient Emperor Alligator has occupied a river. On the other hand, White Tiger is still a dumbass, making Cayenne King's tutor duties a pain. Furthermore, the extraction of the Spirit Stone Cave is still ongoing and progressing properly. Yu Jai-yu, still not satisfied with his current level, is trying out his skills. He notices that his Willow Wind Blade technique is still lacking, and as such he decides to level it up. Spending 2,000 evolution points, he executes his plan. However, the technique, despite being stronger, is still very stamina consuming. Taking a small break, he opens up his status window, learning that all his skills have reached level 2, except the main trunk. Deeming this to be one of his priorities, he decides to upgrade it. But he is stopped in his tracks when the cost is revealed to be 100,000 points. Unable to afford this, he upgrades his fog skill instead. Doing so, he creates a huge dragon of fog, who scares Cayenne King and Feng. On level 3, the fog can now also transform into anything the controller wants. Impressed at his new strength, Yu Jai-yu claims he will scare King using his new abilities. Thanks to this thought, he realizes he hasn't seen King in a long time, making him wonder if she is alright. Suddenly, a bright beam of light emerges from within him. To investigate this incident, he quickly checks and finds that King's spirit has started to break through. He theorizes that her fusion must have worked. He feeds her life essence to progress the pace. Meanwhile, at the institute, Ling is also given mana stones by the instructors to help her evolve. Thanks to the combination of both these things, King emerges successful. She meets with her master, revealing she has used the centipede as a weapon now. Yu also tries to scare King with the fog dragon, but she is unfazed and easily deals with it, revealing she has grown stronger physically and mentally. Additionally, she has an advantage against such illusions thanks to her mental element. She also suggests that he should place a spirit stone as the fog dragon's core, which will make the beast significantly more powerful. They try it out and it works like a wonder. In addition, King states that she has something to show Yu. Somewhere in this world, an army is fighting a losing battle. Even the deployed aircraft, tanks, and missile launchers seem to be completely ineffective. As the soldiers relentlessly hold out, waiting for the Freedom Federal's reinforcements, they eventually realize that they were never coming. And the enemy causing all this chaos and mayhem is a giant coral crab that transcended rank 2. Unable to do anything, the soldiers helplessly die in battle as the displaced people watch the confrontation in pure horror. On the other hand, King tells Yu to send one of his pet falcons to a specified location. She claims that she wants to hand-give something to her, and so he agrees. At the specified time and place, a falcon meets with Ling. After they interact for a bit, she gives the falcon a cylindrical object. As told, the pet brings this item to his master, who is also confused upon seeing it. As he fiddles around, he finds a switch and presses it. This opens up the cylinder, revealing a mutated ant on the brink of death. The Spirit King suddenly visits Yu, telling him that this ant is the result of millions of failed experiments. She adds that this is highly prized, and the only reason she has this is it doesn't have much longer to live. Upon opening and seeing this little monster's status bar, he finds many absurdly strong abilities given to the ant by these experiments. Calling this a blessing in disguise, Yu tells King to not worry, as with the help of his powers and skills, he can ensure that this mutated ant will not die today. He then proceeds to feed the ant some diluted life essence, which promptly heals it back up. In addition, the ant also manages to evolve into a mutated gold ant. Upon getting his energy back and some more, the ant attacks and Yu responds. Seeing this monster move, he becomes impressed at the size and strength of this creature, no bigger than the palm of a hand. Suddenly, the beast kneels, thanking his saviors and wanting to follow them until his death. Yu becomes more impressed that this ant, at level 5, has gained the telepathy ability when White Tiger, at level 9, is still unable to do so. Yu names this ant Sparky, giving him the 5th rank amongst his generals, and orders it to cultivate his power in the cave. On the other hand, Ancient Emperor Alligator is hunting, when he suddenly starts evolving. This triggers the humans, and they quickly send out a small Air Force battalion to bomb this beast. During this commotion, however, Yu is oblivious to all this and is still playing around with the fog dragon, scaring his human slaves. In just mere moments, a large number of fighter jets and helicopters, fully armed to the teeth, reach Ancient Emperor Alligator's location. Getting visuals on their target, the commander of the troops seems to be deeply troubled. She claims that this monster is bigger than even the sliver centipede they encountered previously, and it would be impossible to capture or even kill this monster with only the Air Force personnel. As such, she orders the deployment of long-range missiles as well as a battalion of super beings. Suddenly, all of their cameras stop working and they stop getting visuals. On the other hand, King informs Yu of this development, claiming dozens of troops and aircrafts have been sent out. Shook to his core, he asks how his location was discovered, as he states that the Ancient Emperor Alligator is not someone so careless. She reveals that it happened due to the monster's evolution. Only this time, his threat level is put on max. Understanding that the spiritual institution has fallen into complete disarray after finding his pet, he wonders why an ancestral mutation is causing so much commotion while the sliver centipede, which was stronger, did not. Suddenly, King leaves, stating that Ling is currently on standby and will soon be deployed as well. Realizing that Ling and Ancient Emperor Alligator might have to fight each other, Yu orders his flock of falcons to help him retrieve his pet alligator back. He even allows them to destroy the aircrafts if any of them get in the way of his orders. And so, the flock immediately heads out, back to the Ancient Emperor Alligator, who is currently facing an onslaught of ammunition and explosives. The troops plan to lure in the beast in a specific location where the Super Being Battalion will land and wait for it. The troop's commander claims that if this ancestral monster is not dealt with right now, they will have an even bigger threat later on in the future. But Ancient Emperor Alligator doesn't take all the attacks laying down, and in response launches a few boulders towards the incoming missile, creating a smoke screen. Using this opportunity, while his enemy is unable to see, it then throws rocks directly at the aircrafts, causing a few to come crashing down. Seeing this display of quick-wittedness, the soldiers wonder if this monster has acquired wisdom. The beast, in the meantime, tries to escape the battlefield but fails to do so due to his foes dropping bombs on him. Eventually, the Ancient Emperor Alligator reaches his limit, finally slowing down and becoming an easier target to hit. As he faces off against this monstrous force, all that goes through his head are the thoughts of his beloved master, who he wishes would come to save him. Receiving major damage, Ancient Emperor Alligator has now become fatally wounded, but he still refuses to go down silently. Slowly, the troops start to run out of ammunition and eventually they get down to their last remaining bomb. Just as the troop commander is about to issue her command to end the battle, her assistant starts to cause a commotion, screaming and revealing that there seem to be multiple mutated monsters approaching on the radar. Moreover, all of them have a relatively high power level. Nonetheless, the Air Force is unable to get images of these monsters as the speed of these creatures is too high. These monsters are of course Ujaiu's falcons, who have arrived just in the nick of time to save their comrade. The troop commander informs the soldiers and pilots of this new development, but even in spite of this, the aircrafts have no way to keep up with these monstrous falcons. As such, the Air Force personnel quickly starts dropping like flies, going down one by one, losing contact with all air units and proclaiming the target to be missing. The commander deems this battle as a failure for them. Ling, who is watching this battle from the sideline, breathes a sigh of relief that her companion will stay alive one more day. Back at the headquarters, someone manages to uncover a single frame where the falcons can be seen. From this, they identify the species of the falcon, learning that they are elite-level hunters. In addition, they all were at level 9 and the current air units would prove to be meaningless in front of them. This information leaves everyone with a bad taste in their mouth, as the same question goes through everyone's mind. How do we beat them? On the other hand, Ancient Emperor Alligator and the falcons manage to escape the humans and quickly return to Ujaiu's side. Along with them, all the rest of the pets, except Red Fox, also gather. There, he announces the incidents to everyone, uncovering the events which unfolded. Suddenly, he sees some movement, finding a mini scouting airplane to be present. As such, he promptly destroys it. After the explanation, he starts to examine Ancient Emperor Alligator's cuts and wounds. Upon seeing them, he claims that the humans are using special armor-piercing bullets, and so the pets should avoid fighting using their bodies. Seeing the damage, Ujaiu also becomes perplexed at how dangerous human technology really is, fearing the weapons which might cause temporary paralysis or such other effects. Suddenly, Alligator pulls out a snake egg as a present for his master, revealing that the inhibitor of this egg will awaken ice element talent. Meanwhile, the troop commander is reviewing the footage from their scouting airplane and finds everything very suspicious. She claims that they have to research this forest as it could be a habitat for mutated beasts. She orders her men to mark this area as a danger zone and start monitoring the area. This is all done in order to ensure that the Ancient Emperor Alligator does not escape. Hey guys, if you like this video through the end, please give a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe in the end so I can keep bringing more and more content for you all. The story begins with an average 9-5 office-going guy who became excited to use the new type of subscription-based vending machine that provides only one drink a day. Since he was a vending machine enthusiast, he was eager to try out something he had never done before, as it felt like treasure hunting to him. But just when he was about to make the payment, a truck came rushing into the scene and knocked the vending machine in midair. But our overexcited office guy decides to save the vending machine from being broken, which ends up taking his life. Surprisingly, he reincarnated near a lake as the only thing that took his life. What an irony. Knowing that there is nothing that can be done, he ends up accepting his new life and sets his new lineup of drinks for new pricing for the customers. But the problem is, the vending machine uses points rather than using electricity. Each hour costs 1 point, and for straight days, he had no visitor or customer that came to use it. Suddenly, the arrival of a frog person made him realize that he is living in another world, and just when he playbacks his welcome tune, he gets on with bashing the machine with his weapon. When he was deliberately losing HP and another frog person came to the scene with an axe, some girl warrior rushed into the scene like Tarzan. When the girl was about to get attacked by the frog people, he ends up saving her with the help of his force field power, which used up quite some points as he had to continue it for a while. The The girl starts crying for food after waking up as she regretted her choice not to be a hunter when she had time. The introduction of vending machine came into her life as a savior since she was able to buy the food with her money even if it was quite expensive for her. Everything from the vending machine was so great that she kept on purchasing everything and chugging it down almost instantly. When she finishes the food, she introduces herself as Lammies and she was able to understand the situation of the main character. She finds him similar to her friend named Hulami, and our main character ends up protecting her at night with his force field as he was the only thing that kept away from being lonely. The next day when she was bidding her farewell, she felt like she will miss the vending machine so much that she ends up taking the main character with her. Not only the MC but the girl was happy and content to bring the new friend with her. On the way, Lammies ends up buying potato chips from his new lineup and the main character understood that it was hurting her wallet, but he had no way to live off it other than selling the goods. When Lammies arrived at the settlement, she ended up introducing the main character to the guards named Karios and Gorth. When they propose to her the idea of selling the main character, she forbids them to do so and explains how it works. They both were surprised just as Lammies once was when she first met the main character, and got mesmerized by the functionality. When she went back to the inn, the main character met Manami and her mother who was the owners of the inn, and the inn is where she stayed. When the introduction to the main character finished, Manami noticed that Lammies had no money with her, and it would be impossible for her to pay for the lodging as she spent everything in the machine. It ended up making the main character sad, but the owner told her she could work and stay while the machine stays outside. Before the day ended, Lammies ended up naming the main character Boxo, and he was happy with that as well. Living in the settlement was fun for our main character as he was taken care of by Manami, and he also was able to find regular customers. The number one customer were the ones that were on guard duty for the settlement as they kept coming back constantly. One day the brat of a big merchant Suori was sad, and he made her happy by giving her something to eat for free, which ended up making her really happy. After a few days, Lammies bought new gear to carry our main character, and when she entered the settlement, a talking bear greeted her, which ended up shocking our main character. Lammies noticed that all of the adventurers are fully loaded up to attack a frog fiend base, and they get introduced to one of the hunter girls in the squad. Lammies also introduces herself as a hunter to her, and the main character could guess the hunters are actually adventurers. The talking bear who shocked our main character is the director of the Hunters Association, and he wanted Lammies to carry Boxo in the fight since they will need his help for food and ration while they go on the offense. Since Boxo had to go, Lammies agreed to go on, and one of the seniors promised that she will be in the transport team so she will not have to attack any frog fiends as they will protect her. The hunter seemed kind of suspicious to Boxo because of his behavior, and Lammies could see through his face just like Boxo himself. The hunter guy is named Captain Kirioil, and the woman in the team named Filmina stopped him from behaving weirdly by punishing him with her magical power. On the way, none of the hunters and carriers could stop drooling from joining Lammies and Shui, so they joined them to eat food from the vending machine as well. The new lineup of cup noodles made them so glad they kept coming for it. When Boxo was racking up points, he made the purchase of the omnidirectional vision, which was able to help him with greater vision whenever Lammies would carry him. Even though the new ability was useful, it kept making Boxo sick as it made him feel like he was about to go vomit. When they set up camp for the night while everyone was eating, Lammies get informed by the director that they will soon have to engage to combat with the frog fiends and the other remnants. He was worried about Lammies and Boxo and that they will not be able to guarantee their safety, which tenses her up about bringing Boxo with her, but he was eager to join them in their travel. Boxo promised himself that he will continue to help Lammies no matter how many points it costs him, since she was the first friend he gained in the new world. Finally, they reach the enemy base, and everyone straight up joins the fight, including Lammies, who carried on her back Boxo while fighting. Captain Kirioil was impressed by the strength of Lammies as she continued to mow down frog fiends on the way, while Filmina blasted through the enemies with her magic. But somehow Boxo gets hit from behind as the enemies surrounded them from all the way, which distracted Lammies as she felt bad for him. Lammies blocking all of the attacks from Boxo reminded him of the past and how his life ended in the first place. Being reminded of the past, Boxo wanted to act like their shield, so Lammies and the others do not get hit by the enemies. Boxo immediately turned his force field on, which ends up splattering all of the frog enemies around them with surrounding light. The hunter girl on their team didn't understand what was happening and thought that it was Lammies' powers, but Lammies herself ends up clearing up the fact that it was indeed Boxo, and not her. Lammies instructs Boxo that he should let her know if enemies get behind his back, which ends up helping her as she kept plowing through them. Boxo uses his playback voice records to confirm the incoming enemies, which make her attacks smoother than before with the overpowered fists and sharp movements. The incident makes her remember her martial arts master as he would train her with a boulder strapped behind her back, and Captain Kirioil praising her ends up distracting her miserably. But they didn't have to worry since Boxo used up his force field once again to save them all. When Kirioil notices the power, he starts asking questions, which gets Boxo suspicious of him, but there was no use going on stealth since Lamies herself kept spreading the truth. The awful face the captain made, in the end, made him even more suspicious, as there were chances that he might try to steal him. Finally, the battle of the hunters against the frog fiends ends. Everyone gets on with cleaning up the battlefield, and they are commanded by Kirioil to cut the tongues of the monsters. When it came to joining the front lines, Lamies decided to join the hunters to help them, and Boxo once again agreed with her. They all went to join the director, where they were fighting for their lives to clear the settlement. And when the fight ended, he anticipated that the reactions of the fiends may indicate the arrival of a king frog fiend, as he may be the one guiding the others. The director left with his main soldiers to take down the king, while the average hunters such as Lamies and one or two others got left behind for being in charge of food. When everyone was busy getting food, Lamies went to lend a spare hand to help an injured person, so she had to leave Boxo alone, which ends up provoking an evil-looking person as he laid his eyes upon Boxo. The strange and mysterious man glances over everywhere to see if anyone was around and proceeds to steal money from Boxo with the wire he brought with him. But Boxo makes trouble for him as he starts playing his pre-recorded greets to get him noticed by the public. The thief keeps on banging on Boxo, and he ends up releasing a can of hot scorching corn soup heated to the max, which makes him go on rage. The thief loses his calm and targets Boxo with his knife to hurt him, and as Boxo could guess, he ends up getting caught by Lamies herself red-handed. Lamies starts interrogating the man named Gugoyle, and his intuition gets confirmed by the hunters and Boxo himself. Lamies decides to tie the man down as the hunters started guarding him, but suddenly, everything changes as the king frog fiend appears by blasting everything near them, as everyone starts wondering where the guarding party went to. The monster looked dangerous to everyone as a huge flame was engulfing all over his body, and instantly the director and the whole team appears, telling his other members to run away to a safe place. When everyone starts running for a safer place somewhere, Lamies didn't know what to do, as she wasn't prepared to face something monstrous with Boxo on her back. None of the weapons were working on the monster fiend, and at the same time, their pet boar wasn't ready to get running as it was too scared by the atmosphere. Lamies gives the boar an opportunity to flee from the danger zone and takes the rope of the cart to run it herself. Knowing that Boxo wouldn't be able to save the wounded with his field force, he gets another idea in his mind to save everyone from danger, but he might have to spend countless points on it. The Great Frog Fiend was only a few feet away from them, and Boxo rushed his best to add a new function and form to his body while he buys 2 liters of multiple cola bottles to protect everyone from the trouble. Boxo changed his shape into a rounded Mentos vending machine and hands Lamies over the cola bottles. But the instructions given by Boxo were too hard for her to understand since he had limited voice messages to run. All he could say was to insert the coins, letting her know that she has to put the mentors into the bottles. But it was hard for her to decode as she was from a whole different universe. When she was struggling to decode whatever he was trying to say to her, the hunter girl with bow and arrows decides to stop the tied-up villain on the cart from yelling by putting cola and Mentos inside his mouth at the same time. The explosion that happened inside his mouth ended up overflowing all of the colas straight outside his mouth, which gives Lamies the idea of using the cola bottles and Mentos efficiently. When the mighty monster was almost about to attack their cart directly by jumping on it, everyone around the scene jumps back on the cart, getting ready with the bottles of colas and Mentos to use their last strand of hope to evade their upcoming life-threatening danger. The main course begins as soon as everyone gets their hands on the Coca-Cola bottles and starts filling them up with Mentos candies to use the carbonated strength in order to save the cart from the grasp of the monster. Not only them but also, Philomena was doing her best to use the water power with her magic to corner the inflamed monster, and when it wasn't enough, she doubled the strength with every bit of power she had left. Seeing that there is no other way left, Lamies and her group target the eyes of the monster and keep on blasting the cola bottles as much as they could. Finally, the fire got weaker as the monster gets hurt and proceeded to hide its eyes from the others. When the main hunters get busy fighting the monster as they could finally hit it with their weapons, Lamies uses her legs as much as she can to rescue the injured from the scene. The blasts made by the monster weren't hot anymore, and the hunters were able to get their hits on it quite efficiently. Then the director jumped in the mid-air to deal the final blow to the monster as he finished it off with his sharp claws. The monster was finally defeated by the Hunters Association, and everyone was feeling quite ecstatic about their achievement. But Boxo was distressed by thinking that he had lost more than 2,000 points to save everyone around him. Even though everyone kept on praising President Haken, but he showed his gratitude to Lamies and Boxo for their help throughout the journey. He also admitted his mistakes since they were exposed to danger because of his incompetency. They all went home with success-filled chests while Boxo made the highest sale in a day even though he had to waste a lot. But the ruined and abandoned condition of their settlement ended up shocking everyone in fear, as they never witnessed or dreamed of their camp being like that. The whole village was ransacked by some unknown entity and every hunter was quite shocked to see the end result. Lamies was on the verge of crying while Boxo was regretting not being able to check up on anyone since he was immovable. When Lamies was speechless after being sad, Boxo tried his best to speak with her using his inner voice mixed up with the pre-recorded voice messages. Even though Lamies couldn't understand properly, she somehow got that he was trying to say something and got on moving inside the village to see what actually happened there. While walking inside the village, Lamies noticed that the village was fully destructed by some unknown force, but there were no dead bodies. Also, the inn where she used to live in had also crumbled as some kind of earthquake happened there. She tried digging up under the crumbled structures to look for the owner and the daughter but found nobody. When she finally reached the Hunters Association, they witnessed a two-headed snake that was finished off by countless arrows and spears. Lamies noticed that the two of the guards were fully okay as nothing had happened to them, and they also confirmed that all of the villagers were safe, which made Lamies cry with happiness. It seems that when the magical alarm was rung by the villagers, they were teleported via a teleportation circle which saved them all. When everyone came out after the arrival of Lamies and the others, Boxo opened up his shop once again and made everything free for the night as it called for a celebration. Lamies was drunk and happy as she continued to cling to him when she was too high to give a damn. Without even noticing, Boxo was already a part of everyone in the village and he felt like he might be falling for Lamies as he would have gone for someone like her if he was still a human back in Japan. The next day, every villager went into repairing mode as all of the buildings and structures were fully destructed and they all needed new homes. Not only that, but also, the Hunters Association promised to pay for all the repairs since they were able to gain more than enough money by salvaging the double-headed snake and the frog monster. Lamies was put on debris clearing duty by the bear director and she was happy to do her task. When Captain Kirioil arrived on the scene, everyone was eager to shake his hand since he was the leader of the foolish travelers, which boggled the mind of Boxo as he couldn't understand the meaning behind his popularity. He started spending money on the vending machine as everyone was about to get treated by the association. Lamies was approached by the captain himself to join the team of foolish travelers, and she also had the opportunity to bring Boxo with her. But she turned his offer down immediately even after thinking twice about the proposition. Everyone was surprised to see the sight of Captain Kirioil moving away in embarrassment. Suddenly, Suori arrived on the scene debating whether she was going to leave Boxo for her or not. But Lamies wasn't ready to part away Boxo for anything in the world to anyone. Also, Akoi and Gogai from the Merchant Association arrived on the scene to check up on everything as the cash flow in the area was devastating because of the arrival of Boxo. Gogai wanted to exchange some of the silver coins for their gold coins, but it was of no use since Boxo didn't have any kind of function like that. But Lamies ended up saving the day by giving the idea of buying things with the money that was going to be given by the Merchant Association. They decided to stop at Boxo for the day as they kept on buying more and more things from him. Lamies was concerned about the well-being of Boxo since he was overflowing with gold coins as he could get targeted by any of the thieves. It actually happened at night as the thieves went out looking for Boxo, but he was clever enough to change the color to save himself from them. After some time, a woman named Charlie arrived in front of him and explained the situation of the village being popular since the Hunters Association was able to defeat many strong monsters. Since a lot of people were coming into the village, there must be increasing hygiene problems due to sexual activities and risky individuals. She was asking for a solution that could prevent her from getting affected, and he did it for her. Before parting ways, she expressed that she would have loved to show her gratitude with her body if Boxo was a human somehow. When the village was almost fully renovated, people kept joining more and more every day, and a new event was opened for everyone once every 3 days, the shared bath. While she took her bath every day, Boxo was always left outside to make money while Lamies was curious to see the other girls' bodies in the bath. The conversation that Philomena had with Lamies only made Boxo more uncomfortable more and more as he could everything from outside. While reaching for the cart, Lammies somehow expressed that she would love it if he was able to spend at her home being a human. Boxo responded to it almost immediately, which was noticed by Lammies herself, but it was quite innocent in the end since they don't have the